How come Trump doesn't get more? Why isn't there more for Trump? It seems like and this has been true throughout, that Trump seems to be unable to push up it. It feels like he should be at 53, 54% now. Why isn't that true?
Chris, people have made up their minds pretty firmly about both of these candidates.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how things have changed in the last week or so. Over the last week, the question that's consumed Washington has gone from will Joe Biden drop out to when will Joe Biden drop out?
Yeah.
As soon as Democratic voters, donors, and elected officials realize that there is no possible way that Joe Biden can beat Donald Trump, and they're very close to that realization now,
yeah,
then there'll be no way for him to continue.
And is that, well, listen to what George Stephanopoulos asked the president in their interview about that very question.
I've never seen a president at 36% approval get reelected.
Well, I don't believe that's my approval rate. That's not what our polls show.
Yeah, you know when they say the polls are fake, you and I both know that's not a good sign. But look here at presidential approval for those who have been similarly situated. You see, back in 2004, it's hilarious to me now. Back in 2004, we said George W. Bush, that's low at 47%. He's under 50. And we said with Obama, can Obama win under 50% approval? And then Donald Trump did pretty well for a guy with 41%. These are the Gallup numbers, and we should point out Joe Biden was already at 38% in Gallup even before that disastrous debate. So I'm going to ask you something hard. Take off your Republican hat, put on a Biden hat, and make the case. What is the argument for how Joe Biden could still win? Is there an argument that could be made that how a guy who's under 40 approval rating turns this around and wins?
By any historical standard, there's no possible way that he could be able to win this. His one saving grace is he's running against Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump is not wildly popular himself. But the job approval of Joe Biden bears a lot of similarities to that of Jimmy Carter.
Yeah.
And we had the Iranian hostage crisis, a sense that the world was coming apart and the president couldn't do anything about it. We have that same sense today with Joe Biden, and we know what happened to Jimmy Carter in 1980 with Ronald Reagan.
But the difference between Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan, of the differences between Donald Trump and Ronald Reagan was a mostly unknown entity if they knew him as an actor. Maybe they knew that he had been the governor of California, but he wasn't a household name for most Americans at the time. So when he could slingshot past Carter because he had all this room to grow at the top. My point is, when I saw this in 2016, no matter what Donald Trump was doing, Hillary Clinton stayed stuck at 48, 49, 48, 49. Is Donald Trump at his ceiling, or is there room for him to grow upward?
We're going to find out. He's gotten 46, 47% before.
Which could be enough.
Which could be enough, particularly in a three-way race.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see if he starts breaking through that 47% barrier.
Yeah.
That's a signal that things are really coming apart, and that things are looking out very good for him.
Yeah, and that people are actually moved, because right now, it seems like, and tell me whether my assessment is right, it seems like voters have been moving away from Biden or back to Biden, but not from Biden to Trump. We're not seeing movement from Biden to Trump. We're seeing movement from Biden to, they'll go park it over at Kennedy for a while, or they'll move back to undecided, but they're not going from Biden to Trump, right?
So far, that's true, because both of these candidates are so historically unpopular.
Yeah.
I mean, 2/3 of Biden's supporters would replace him on the ballot if they could. 1/3 of Trump supporters would replace him on the ballot if they could. Overall, 85% of Americans would replace one or both of these candidates if they could. That doesn't speak well for our democracy and its credibility.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.